I would like to give a short introduction to what is Sadgamaya Foundation and who is DP Mahesha. So, DP Mahesha is our teacher, our guide, and our mentor, our guru, who has handhold many of us through the journey of our life, discovering every aspects of our life and working on it by balancing and aligning our energy. DP Mahesha is a spiritual scientist, a trained yogi in Himalayan traditions, and a cognitive educator for last 20 years. He is the founder of NGO Sadgamaya Foundation and Masterminds International Bangalore. And this organization mainly works on transformation programs of body, mind, and soul. He's an engineer by profession, but he had a higher calling and he wanted to serve people in helping them lead a better life. And that is when he decided to start on the journey of five elements breathwork. He's a master trainer from Rebirthing Breathwork International, Virginia, USA. And he has successfully conducted workshops and seminars for the last 2 decades, not only in India, but Middle East, Europe, USA, and now in Sri Lanka. So, welcome you all, and I hand it over to DP Mahesha.
Hi, Pooja. Can you
Hello,
hear me?
Mahesha.
Good, wonderful. Namaste to all of you. Welcome to this, we can say, impromptu session on rebirthing breathwork or a five elements breathwork, what we call in Sadgamaya. It's all thanks to Pooja and the group. So they all wanted to know about what exactly is the breathwork. So in that way, we came out to have this a session for the greater benefits. Like if you ask me what is breath work and how I can get benefited from the breath work, I should tell you my little own story with the breath work. Like, I met my teacher, we can say, who taught me past life regression and then meditations and other things, Dr. Newton in Hyderabad. And then we became a good friends. I did my past life regression workshop with him, and I started practicing past life regression in India and Europe and also Middle East. I used to go around and conduct sessions for people, teach yoga for people, meditation, all this. And then after 1 year after into my past life regression work, retreats and all, one day Dr. Newton, we were like a good friends, and he called me and he said, Mahesh, there is some breathing technique you should experience. I said, what it is, doctor? He said, no, you should just try this. You should experience. Then when I happened to meet him, then I requested him to give a session. When I took my first breathwork session, Leonard or used to call it like, or I can say Dr. Newton used to call it like rebirthing breathwork, which I renamed it later as five elements breathwork. The one and the technique is the same. And then in that one breathwork session, I went through so much in that 1.5 hour of breathing. I had a lot of sensation, kind of a tetany in my fingers, and then visions, and then more than anything else, when I came out of the breathwork session, I felt like, wow, as if like I meditated for a very long time. My whole body was like electric current flowing kind of an experience. Then I asked Dr. Newton, he being a medical doctor, I asked him, what exactly this is this, doctor? Because before that, I was into Ashtanga yoga. I practiced yoga for a good number of years, almost 6 years I practiced yoga. I took one year, asana 1 year, pranayama 1 year, pratyahara 1 year, like that I did for 6 years in Kolkata, Anandnagar, Rishikesh, and also in Mysore. I did the certification courses in yoga. I was into pranayama, I was into meditation, I was into, you can say, past life regression, had a many spiritual experiences, but nothing compared to what I had on the day after doing this breathing, what we say, rebirthing breathwork. It was just mind blowing. And then he went on explaining how, there's a special technique we do in breathing called continuous connected breathing. In breathwork, when you do, you're asked to breathe in a special way. And when you start doing that breathing, your mind stops slowly, all your thinking and everything stops. And your whole consciousness, what we say, our awareness, start going inside your psyche. And then you discover a lot of interesting things inside you. And then he went on explaining, but again, that explanation was nowhere comparable to, or satisfactory to what my actual experience of doing breathwork. Then I asked him, who invented this? Who started this? Then he told this gentleman name, Leonard Orr in US. And then I said, no, then I should meet this man. Somehow I liked the technique so much. And then whenever I used to meet Dr. Newton, request for a session. In fact, even attended a workshop. He did a retreat, 6 days, 7 days retreat on breathwork. I did that too. But my quest to, meet Leonard Orr did not stop. Then I continued to be in touch with him through emails, and finally we happened to meet in Bangalore. He came to Bangalore. He was gracious enough to accept our invitation to organize a workshop for him in Bangalore. He came there, and when I met Leonard Orr, it was like some connection, like meeting my one very very old, a teacher or a guru or my friend of very distant, past a lifetime kind of a thing. We got connected, immediately. And then he asked me one question. I don't know what made him to ask. He asked, Mahesh, how much of Himalaya you know? I said, what? How much of Himalaya? I told him, you see, I love Himalaya, but I don't like the cold. Like, I have this problem, in my life. Like earlier, I mean to say, before coming to the breathwork, if I wake up early in the morning and if it is cold in the morning and I start, like sneezing would continue, running nose would continue, whole day I would have that, sickness feeling actually, like. So I can't wake up in the morning. Even if I wake up by mistake, I need to go to college or attend something, I need to cover myself completely. I can't be exposed to the cold. That was the situation for many years. And I told him, see, I can't take cold. I'm very sensitive to cold. He said, what? You're sensitive to cold? That's why you're not going to Himalaya? I said, but just to tell you, Leonard Orr is like a walking encyclopedia about Himalaya. He spent so much of time in Himalaya, and also he has spent a lot of time with Babaji, what we call Mahavatar Babaji, and also like we say Haidakan Baba. He has spent a lot of time with in the Himalayan Siddhas. He's like a walking encyclopedia. I think in that way he was very curious to talk about his Himalayan experience. And when I told him, no, I can't go and I can't spend, because I tried going there a couple of times, but I could not take the cold and I ran away from the Himalaya. Like, I couldn't stay there because of cold water, cold, weather there. And then he told me one interesting thing. He said, oh, Mahesh, if you can't take cold means you have a birth trauma. This is the first time, in spite of my exposure, study, research into past life, or research into all the yoga, pranayama, and all of the thing, meditation, for the first time I heard something called birth trauma. I said, what? What did you say? He said, birth trauma. Like, do you know about your birth? Like I said, I know little from my mom, but not much. What do you know? Yeah, I told him I was born on 7th month, and then I was kept in incubator because I was so weak. I was kept in the incubator for 1 month. He said, oh, there you see, you have all your answers. I said, what do you mean? He said, you see, you're separated from the mother immediately after the birth, and you spend a lot of time in the incubator. So that's what your cold sensitivity. Then I said, what do you mean? He said, no, all you need to do is a good breathwork session. If you do breathe good, the breathwork will release your cold sensitivity. And I'm telling you, I was in that stage in my life when I was talking to him. I could do anything to get out of my cold issue, kind of a thing. Anything. I tried yoga. In fact, I went to yoga, I went to pranayama. I did a lot of asanas. I did a lot of meditation. I did Ayurveda. I tried Ayurveda. I tried homeopathy. All that just to get out of my cold sensitivity, but I could not. When he said, I was very curious. Really? You think? He said, yes, I was like this, Mahesh. I had a birth trauma and I had a lot of health issues. And when I healed my birth trauma, I became better. I said, okay, then do one thing. Give me a breathwork session. Because you're here, I did not know, taking a breathwork session from Leonard Orr is like a, Herculean task. Like, So he said, yeah, okay, I'll give you a breathwork session. Contact my wife. She will give you an appointment. I went to her wife. She was around, LVR. Asked for an appointment. She said, Mahesh, she's so booked for next a good number of months. We will give you after many months. Is that okay? I said, okay, anytime. Whenever he's free, let me know. Then I had to wait for 6 months. Not only that, I had to go to US, to Virginia, to take a breathwork session. But I was determined to do it. Why? Because let me try it out. Because he said my cold sensitivity will go away. And then anyway, the day came. I happened to go to Virginia to take a breathwork session. And then before taking a breathwork session, I had another shock with him. What is the shock? He demanded for about $2,000 Yes, you heard me. $2,000 to take a one breathwork session. It was so expensive at that time. But later we bargained and brought it down to 1,000 or less than 1,000 and all that. It's fine. But first session, yes, it was expensive. And then, anyway, I said, okay, fine. So I took a session. But believe me, the first session healed my cold sensitivity. Actually, after that I had such a, I can say, intense experience of that breathwork session. If you ask somebody who have taken a breathwork session in your family or a friend circle, they will tell you what it is. It's like a very intense, interesting session. Energetically, you'll be literally floating at the end of the session. And my session went on quite a long. And then after that, when I got back to my normal sense, and then I went and talked to him and I asked him, how did I do? He said, you did fantastic. And he said, you go and check it out now, your sensitivity to cold. But I'm telling you, it reduced big time. Of course, I took one more session later with him, and maybe about 2-3 sessions with Leonard. Or I think I did totally 4 with him. But second or a third session, I can say my complete cold sensitivity is disappeared. Actually, like, I could go to any cold mountain. I can dip in the water. I went to, you can say, name any cold river in the Himalaya. There is Gomukh, not just Gangotri. Go behind Gangotri, 24 kilometer, and say Gomukh, Tapovan, Sundarvan. You talk about Kedarnath, or you talk about Badrinath, or you talk about, let's say Lakshman. You heard about this near Valley of Flower. There's you know. There's one high point of Sikh. Actually, it's very nice. Okay, so there, I went there, and a lot of places, like even behind Badrinath. So any cold, again, Manas Sarovar, for example. I went to South America. Then all the lakes in South America, or any cold, for example, means I would love it now. Okay, so that changed completely. I can say a kind of a trauma, which I was holding on for how many years? Maybe 30 years in my body, in my psyche, and we could just release it in about 2-3 sessions. And I'm telling you, that's the time I took to breathwork full time. Actually, like I said, something incredible, something incredible. It is happening here. I should really go much deep into it. From that time, I think I did never got disconnected from Leonard. Or I went behind him wherever he went, to Europe, other places. I was in India. I was in touch with him, and I did a 1-year master breath mastery course with him. Okay, and then I also did there are certification courses, where you become a therapist. I did all of it, and then came back to India, and then started giving more session to people. So, just to give you in a nutshell, what happens in a breathwork session? One thing is, I don't know how many of you noticed this. Okay, so like if you just observe your breathing, what is the right way of observing your breathing? Not sitting like this. We need to lie down. We do that when people come to our foundation, when they are ready to take a breathwork session. We ask them to lie down, and we just ask them to breathe. When you breathe in and breathe out, okay, there are many things we can observe. Actually, a good therapist can observe. Actually, starting from either you are a belly breather, you're breathing from belly. Like if you are into pranayama, if you are into sports, if you are into running, jogging, too much of activity, and if you are a risk taker, and and you're a little aggressive, you normally breathe from the belly. We call a belly breather. Predominantly, many men are belly breather. And then let's say if you are a very emotional, very reactive, and you get stuck in emotion sometime. Let's say somebody said something to you, and you cannot get over it. You cannot forget it for the next 3 days, 4 days, 1 week, like that. It is. You get disturbed. You're very, very sensitive to what people say, and then you are prone to little anxiety issues or little depression. You are very reactive. Normally, that means you are you are what we call chest breather. You breathe more in the chest, like. Okay, so in that way, human beings, we can actually divide into like 2 categories. General, I mean to say, belly breather or a chest breather, right? I have a question for you. Which is the better breathing actually? Like, which one you think is the right one? Many people would say this, belly breathing is the best. I do agree, but again, it is not complete. See, if you're a belly, then you are losing your chest. You are not expanding this area. If you're only chest breather, means you are losing this. But here I'm telling you, there is a way of breathing completely. There's a way of breathing where you bring in your rib cage to breathe, where you utilize your full lungs capacity. Like you might have heard about, during the Corona time, Many people would have a problem with oxygen and all that. You should come with us. We'll show you, when we go to Kailash mountain, like Tibet, or we go to some high altitude mountains, our oxygen level in the in the place itself drops to 80%, 70% like that. Still, you don't have any issue. Why? Because if your lungs capacity is good, you no need to worry about it actually. Like it's all about not just worrying about little bit percentage here and there. It's all about just opening up your lungs completely, like. So in that way, what the breath work does is actually it will help you to get rid of this bad habit of being a belly breather or a chest breather. Like, so you got the idea. So in that way, what happened when you open up, like you actually normally we say this. Leonard or used to say this. You use your left and right brain together. That means you are highly logical. That's what a belly breather is all about. And you also intuitive, that's what a chest breather is all about. You also become intuitive. So you'll have an intuition, you'll have a good analytical skill, you'll use your complete system with your full brain kind of a thing actually. And then another thing what happens, like this one general question, okay? How many breaths we breathe in 1 minute? Let's say we are all sitting here, you're listening to me, you're breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. How many we do in 1 minute? Any guess? Tell me a number. How many you do? How many breathe in, breathe out in 1 minute? Normally, if you can try this after this video call, after the Zoom call, you just sit and check it out. How many you are doing? How many breaths are happening in 1 minute here? Normally, the number is like 20, 25, 30, 40. I've seen people even have a 40, 42 like that, in 1 minute. Like. So, what is the right number? This number should be bigger or smaller? What do you think? To use your body in a good way, to use your mind in a good way, to be composed, to be calm, to be more effective, to be healthy, to use your immune system to the maximum, right? And to be a very productive, person in your day-to-day life. What should be the number? More or bigger or smaller? Many of you may be having a right answer. The number need to be smaller. What is the number? It should be 15 or less than 15 actually. Again, when I say less than 15, it doesn't mean that it need to be 5. Between 10 to 15 is the right number. Let's say, I do understand when you go out and run, you do pranayama, you do yoga, your breathing increases. Now when you're sitting and relaxing, your breathing, is calmer. When you sleep, it may be even little more calmer. So I'm talking about an average number. See, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but an average number. So if the average number is, let's say, about 15, 10, that means you're doing your best. I'm telling you, those people cannot have a blood pressure, cannot have a health issues, cannot have a memory loss. Many times have you come across this? You want to remember something, but you're not able to remember. Right, and you just came near the refrigerator, you want to pick up something, you open the refrigerator and you start wondering, why did I come here? What do I need to do? Or somebody comes, you don't remember their name, even though you know them, very well. There's some numbers, that you don't recollect. All these things is happening. Why? Because you're breathing actually quite fast. So 25, 30, it's not really good for the human system. Because, if you understand the human body is like a highly sophisticated biological machine. That's what it is. It's one of the best gift given by the Creator to us, this body. We are living inside the body to experience this creation, this world actually, right? So this body need to be run at a certain frequency actually. So what is the frequency? If you can do this maths, they say, let's say your breath is, let's say 15 cycles, 15 breaths you do in 1 minute. Okay, so just you can do this in the math. 15 into, so how many minutes in 1 hour? 60. So 60 into how many hours in a day? 24. So 15 into 60 into 24. If you do this, you'll end up with one very interesting number, 21,600. So what is the number? 21,600. Now, so look at this number, 21,600. If you remove all 3 zeros, so 216. You see this 216? Divide this 216 by 2, it becomes 108. You see this? What we say that you heard about the Sri Yantra number 108, 54 male and 54 female, Shiva Shakti combination. That's what the body is all about actually. So in that way, your breaths need to be 21,600 on an average in a day. Then this becomes like a temple. The body becomes like a temple. No demon, no evil thoughts, nothing, no disease, nothing can survive. No unwanted can survive in your system because it's a temple, high vibrational, high energy. Everything will be dispersed out. Actually, it will be, it will burn inside actually like that. If let's say if I'm breathing very, very fast, like 25, 30, what happens to the number? If not 21,600, it becomes 30,000, becomes 40,000 in a day. So in that way, I'm also aging faster, you see, because in Ayurveda they say our age, what we call age, fixed not by the clock, it's fixed by the number of breaths we breathe actually. So if you breathe slowly, you look younger. That's why many meditators, many you can say yoga people or even breath workers, they look young actually, like Leonard or okay, so he used to look very young and very active. He could run, jump, climb mountains. Now we couldn't match his energy at the age of he was 83 or something when I met him. I couldn't match with his energy. Like literally, he could run. He got married at at the age of 83, 84, I think. Like he got married, a third marriage for him. Okay, so that was very, very energetic, like people who work with the breath. Why? Because when you breathe slowly, your vibration, your energy level goes very, very high. At the same time, if you breathe very fast, it's not a good idea. So, what does breath work do is actually, and like suppose here the question is, why somebody breathe faster? Why? Because they're using only chest. They're using only lungs. They're using a small capacity of their lungs. That's why they need to breathe fast. Like you see, what the breath work does is open up your lungs capacity completely. Use your rib cage, use your upper part of your chest, use your diaphragm efficiently. They will teach you when you do the breath work session or when you do the breath work, you will learn how to breathe properly. Like your body learns, you learn. That way your breathing rate falls back. Thereby it increases your immunity, intuition. A lot of wonderful things can happen. That way. Number one. So, and then we have a lot of other bad habits actually, like, what we say, your breathing is not so okay. You make a sound in breathing in, you make a sound in breathing out. What we call the breathing deviations in breathing, for example. Many of them, like, we picked up in a wrong way actually. Like for example, let's say, something like this. You had a very tough childhood while growing up, for example. Everything you have to work very hard to get things. What happened because of that exposure, or that experience, or a life experience. When you grown up, become an adult, you have a program in your mind. What is the program? Nothing comes to me easily. Like life is very tough. If I knock 100 times, only once it is. It will open up, respond. Like people have this. Nothing comes to me easily. Like I have to work very hard. When you hold on to this belief, what happens when you're breathing? Normally, when you breathe, we do this checking for the people when they come for the foundation. When we just ask them to just breathe in and breathe out, when they breathe in, there is a resistance, there is a small noise in breathing out. When they breathe out, it's easy, something like this. You see, like when they breathe in, there is a noise, and I can't make it out. Normally, people have this actually. When they breathe in, there is a noise in the breathing in. Breathing out, there is no noise. Breathing out is very smooth, like that. So these people, that means they have a holding on to this thing. Nothing comes to me easily. Like, see, as long as we are holding on to beliefs like this, definitely nothing will come to us easily. Like you see, we sabotage our own success. We stop our own growth like that. Why? Because of my childhood, I created a lot of unnecessary program actually. Like I'm stopping my own success like that. So by doing breath work, you can dissolve this actually. Like that sound will just go away. That resistance will be dissolved. Even sometimes the other kind of people. Let's say you're a very good with people. You used to go and help people. Used to give, or you loved somebody so dearly, and one day that person left you. Or let's say people who helped, they did not help you back. When you have this kind of an experience, what happened? We come to a conclusion. No, people are not good. I should not trust people. I should not help people. People are the big problem in my life. When you have this kind of belief system, we develop again some kind of a resistance in breathing out. Like normally, what we call it in breath work, breathing in is like receiving. Like you see, I breathe in. I'm receiving from the universe. I receive the prana. I receive the energy. I receive the nutrition. Breathing is the real nutrition actually. I receive. Then I breathe out. See, when I breathe out, I'm giving back to the nature. Let's say, you see that? So like for example, breathing out is like giving. So breathing in is receiving. So if you have a problem in receiving, you'll have a noise in breathing in. If you have a problem in breathing out, you will have a noise or that resistance in breathing out. It's very subtle. Unless we show you, you will not make out. But many of them have this problem like that. So that one, or chest breathing, or a belly breathing, like I told you. Like these are the few things. There are many like that. Many, of these what we call breathing deviations. And this, when you do the breathwork session, gets corrected actually. So when this gets corrected, and like so many qualities just awakens actually. Like what is the thing? One is your mental clarity. Your mind will not be very, very busy actually. Your mind a lot calmer, not easy to handle things, number one. And then whatever the belief system you're holding on actually, like many things from the childhood will get dissolved. Like if you have any birth trauma, like I told you, I had a severe birth trauma. Some of you may be having a little birth trauma sometimes, but there's nobody on earth zero birth trauma. Something or other will be there. Let's say, for example, like mom is carrying a baby, and that baby happens to be a baby girl inside the womb. Baby can hear and feel and listen and respond from the age of 7th month itself actually, right? 7th month, 8th month, 9th month, baby can hear everything, respond to the outside world. Now just think this scenario. This is a baby girl, but now everybody outside world, especially in our country, in India, because we don't get to know the baby, sex, right? But before birth actually, it is illegal in India. So now you're expecting a baby boy, but this is a baby girl. So just imagine what the baby feels actually. They say baby feels rejected actually. Oh, they're expecting a baby boy. I'm baby girl. So that means I'm unwanted. I'm unwanted here. You see this? Like there are so many things can go wrong, during the 7th month, 8th month, 9th month. Normally what we call, cord around the neck, or, even the water discharge, or a little, any little complication, smaller to the bigger complications in the birth, it's all due to there's something went wrong within the 7th, 8th, 9th month. Baby is not really happy to take a birth. There is something. Like there is a lot of research on this, even including by medical doctors. I met many of them in Europe, even in, like US, Australia. I've interacted with many of them actually. It is not a myth. It is not a some. I wish we can explore this actually. There's so much happens during the birth. Like, we actually mess up the baby energy, but not being sensitive to the baby needs actually. Like, and not to talk about, going for cesarean, instead of going for a natural birth. And again, after the birth, keeping the baby away from the mother for 1 hour, 2 hours. In some cases, the baby given back to the mother the next day. All this is like messes up, the baby's energy and, psychology and the belief, the programming system. So what we call it normally a birth trauma. Like so normally people have a low immunity and they're very busy in the mind, highly judgmental, highly reactive, highly sensitive. Like I told you, sensitive to cold, sensitive to heat, for example, very prone to small, health issues, and lack of intuition. Highly intelligent, highly sharp, but you don't connect to the intuition. You are very highly analytical, for example. This will all normally come from birth trauma. Like doing a breathwork session can heal, release your birth trauma completely. That's why the reason Leonard Orr called this technique rebirthing breathwork. You see the name? Rebirthing. Every breathwork according to him is a rebirth. You are reborn. And I'm telling you, it's 100% like that. Every session you feel like that. I'm just reborn. It's like a new beginning for you. Because you get rid of a lot of issues, what you have been carrying from the childhood. So this is what can happen in the breathwork. Apart from, giving you a good breathing mechanism, your breathing mechanism opens up, you become a good breather. Like you can meditate better, your intuition opens up, your health, immunity improves much better. And like even if you're into sports and all of that, you can do much better sports activity, like in your case, like if you after the breath. Because remember this, breath is fundamental to the what we call whether you call it life or you call it spirituality or emotional health or anything, breath is very, very fundamental actually. Like we all know, how the life begins after you take birth. What is the first thing we do as a baby? What is the first thing we do after the taking birth? The first thing is breathing. It's not crying. Even to cry, you need a breath, right? So the first thing is breathing in is the first thing. Like, moment you breathe in after taking a birth, life begins. What is the last thing we do? Last thing we do, just before the death, the last thing we do, breathe out. Somebody breath out, they could not breathe back again, died. You see this, how beautiful the life is actually. That means the breath is the connection to this world, to the outside world. In that way, if your connection with the breath is really good, if you know how to breathe properly, so it can do wonders. And also, there is a lot of research on this. The people who breathe good, let's say the sports personalities or yoga people or even pranayama, but the best I say is the breath work or kriya yoga, you can say. When you really work with the breath, your intuition becomes very, very sharp actually. We have seen this with many, many people in and around us. Actually, it's amazing the way your intuition opens up. It might take a little time. It's not that you do a breath work today and tomorrow you become a Buddha, not like that. But I can say it will be an amazing change or a shift in your, what we can say, intuition actually. You need not do anything. Just connect. Open up your breath. Bring the connection back to your breath actually, and see what beauty, what is it it can do for you actually. Okay, and again, if you are into spirituality, I say it's like a real blessing. It's a real blessing. Why? Because in spirituality, like for example, anything you do, whether you do a pranayama, you do a meditation, or anything, or a pratyahara, kriya, everything just start with the breathing actually. Okay, unless you really work with the breath. And when we go to the spirituality, we have to go a little deeper, where we talk about 5 breath forces. Have you heard about Panchavayus, for example? It is Panchavayus, like what we say, Udana Vayu, Samana Vayu, Apana Vayu, Jnana Vayu, okay, and then Prana Vayu, like the 5 Vayus actually. So in breathwork, work with all, that's where the 5 elements come from. 5 element breathwork we call it. So when you work with one element, you open up and each Vayu actually, Panchavayu. When you work with Panchavayu and you open up the Panchavayus, basically you open up the Ida and Pingala and your Sushumna, thereby Kundalini awakening, and there are many other things can unfold, your intuition, other big nadis, for example, major nadis, and like a lot of things can keep happening with the breath. So in that way, if you are into spirituality, working with the breath becomes the most primary thing for all of us. Okay, so and again, let's say now, no, I don't want to look into spirituality. I'm just interested in the wellness. But can you talk about wellness without a good breathing, for example? Really think about it. Like a good breathing, for example. Once you open up your lungs in a good way, okay, and bring down this, what is going on, this mess actually, like doing 20, 30, 40 in a minute. If you can bring it down to 15 or a 10, it can do wonders for you. It can increase your vibration, it can keep your mind calmer, give you better immunity, because when you run this body, the biological machine at the right frequency, which can happen with the right breathing. No virus can survive actually. That means unwanted, I mean to say. Nothing, no growth can happen actually. So only when there's a mess happens in this vibration of the body, you have become low vibrational, then the disease kicks in, kind of a thing actually. So that's why you see normally, if you happen to go to Himalaya, and if you see some of the Siddhas, what is the real secret? I've met with Siddhas, I lived with them in the Himalaya, in the caves, like a 95-year-old, 100-year-old, not 100, 130-year-old, 150-year-old, 75, 80, many like that, But how do they maintain that such, energy level, exuberance, healthy body at that age? Because they get a highly balanced diet every day there. They get their K2, they get their B12, they get their protein, they get their keto diets, all of it. You heard about this, vegan diets and all. So many crazy things are going on in the world. Like, do you get all of that? No. We should see actually, like, what do they really eat? Very basic food actually, very basic. like maybe some little rice or a milk or some aloo potatoes, something like that. Very basic food actually, very basic. Okay, and but they maintain extremely good health actually. In extremely good health. How? The real secret is the breathing actually. Because if you know how to connect your breath, how to really open up this panchavayus, it can do wonders inside your system actually. So that's what the breath work is all about. Study of breathing and study of your own breath mechanism, study of your own, like I say, body and the breath connection. And how do I maximize this power of breath? Actually, we say this in spirituality, there are three superpowers inside the human system. Have you heard about this? Three superpowers. Like, so what are these three superpowers? Number one superpower is, let's start with, they say third eye. This is one of your superpower, where you have a perception, intuition of knowing things, a lot of things. And the second superpower is kundalini. And the third superpower is breath, like breath. And we have, in the Hindu mythology, we have names for this actually. I don't know how many of you know this. The names for this actually. Okay, so who is the god for the breath? Who is the god for the breath in Hindu mythology? Anybody knows? Who is the god? Like, we have a god actually. Like, he is everywhere. You will find him. Even every village you go, you will find him actually everywhere. Who is the god for the breath? Like we say Vayu, no, but there is a Vayu Putra. Who is a Vayu Putra? Pavana Kumara. So Anjaneya, Hanuman is the breath actually. Like, breath represented by Hanuman actually. Like, okay, so that's, you now look at that. Do you agree that Hanuman is a superpower? Yes or no? You see that immortal. There's nothing that he can't do, nothing that he cannot. There's no place in the universe he cannot go there. There's nothing. Everything possible for him actually. Like, that's what it is. Right now, what you're breathing and feeling here, the breath, it's not ordinary, it is extraordinary. It is a real superpower. But the only thing you should know how to awaken it, like how to activate it actually, like how to use it for our own benefit. That way it is. That's Hanuman. And again now, Kundalini. Who is the goddess or god for Kundalini? Any idea? Kali. Kula Kundalini we call it, right? Kali Mata, Mahakali is the Kundalini. So that's what the entire Lalita Sahasranam is all about, awakening Kundalini, right? And again, what is third eye? Who is the god for third eye? I'll leave it to you. You come out with an answer. All of you know almost. See, these are the three superpowers. But remember this, to open up other two superpowers like this Kundalini or, I'm talking about people who are inclined spiritually, for example. But for the first, you have to start with the breath actually. You have to start with the breath. Unless you harness the real power of the breath, you release and you cleanse all the panchavayus inside your body, no significant or a meaningful spiritual awakening can happen actually. This I'm telling you with my own experience of working with thousands of people around the world. Like, it's very powerful actually. Whether you do pranayama, that's where the Kriya Yoga became very popular. Because Kriya Yoga is one of the way to harness the power of the breath actually. Like, you connect to the breath, you open up your breath, like, okay, that way. So this is how it goes on actually. So to begin with, we can look at the wellness point of the breath, how breath can bring the wellness to me, how can I have a better body, better immunity, I can open up my, the complete breath mechanism, and then, I can get rid of my, health issues if at all you have any. How do I maximize my capacity as a human being? Like that it is. So your sleep become better, you can say your health become better, you feel really so connected with life. That way it is. Because that's a prana. You see this? By every breath, if you know how to breathe properly, you are taking more and more prana inside. Because that's what your body needs, believe me. Because you might have heard about actually, as the prana energy in your body diminishes actually, that's what death is all about. Let's say, for example, if you heard about pranic healing, they talk about this actually. Let's say why some organ failure happens actually. Let's say somebody kidney failure, or somebody, let's say, heart is not functioning, or liver is not functioning. Why? Because according to them, there is a lack of prana energy to that particular organ actually. That means the associated chakra. We have 7 chakras in the body, right? So that particular chakra, lack of energy in the chakra. So how do you take the good prana energy? How do you take it? Can I go to Amazon and order 1 kg prana I want today? Can I order it? No. Where do we get prana energy? One of the best ways, there are ways to get prana energy, but even let's say if somebody got a good prana, their aura is really big, somebody a good meditator, spending time with them, you feel much better. You receive prana energy like. But where we have this idea of giving blessing, like if somebody blesses you, their prana energy comes to your aura. Like even going to some of the power spots, we receive prana energy. But one of the best ways, breathing good actually. When you breathe really good, your breathing capacity is good. You open up your breath capacity, you receive abundance of prana actually. So thereby, it floods every organ in your system. So you become like young and energetic. Like that's one of the a great benefit to begin with in the breathwork also. Okay, so with this, I think this is good enough, this little introduction. And then if you have any questions, we can take it on. And then I'll hand it over back to Pooja now. Thank you.
So we have all heard about wonderful power of breath work. I'm sure this must have ignited a lot of questions inside you. Feel free to type out your message, your questions in the chat box, and I will read them out to Mahesha. Till we get some questions, Mahesha, I would like to bring in few questions.
Okay.
How many sessions typically a person should do uh, to
Hmm.
begin
Good
their
idea.
journey? Let's just say the starting point is wellness and then building up to the spiritual progress.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are the
Okay.
number of sessions?
I see to begin with, 3 sessions are good enough, in the beginning. Okay, but if you want to really see a good progress or improvement, like Leonard or I, we suggest around 10 sessions. It's really good actually because it will overcome lot of bad habits we picked up in breathing. Like I was telling you, it will releases your breath mechanism complete. Like you will not be after doing 10 breathwork session, you no longer for rest of the life, not for one day. For rest of the life, you no longer be a belly breather or a chest breather. You become like a complete breather. That means you use your lungs capacity completely. Use your diaphragm, use your rib cage, use your lungs, especially upper part of your lungs, like complete. So that way, you might have heard about this. Normally many scientists and doctors say most majority of the human beings use about 40% of the lungs capacity, only for around 40%. You don't use even 60, 70, 80 like that, unless you really work towards it actually. Like, but I've seen the breath workers goes up to 90% of lungs capacity when you do a good number. That way, I see, or doing 10 would be really ideal to open up, your full breath capacity. Yeah.
Yes, I guess I can vouch for that. I have been a breath worker for 3 years. I
Yeah.
went to Mahesha crying, asking, do something about my breath. I
Yeah.
had done psychological counseling. I was on medicines all my life, Ayurveda, homeopathy, allopathy, but nothing could open my breathing. And I met him that time. And I know how powerful it has been for me, how much more energy I have now. Bahesha, we are having a lot of questions on 40 ccb. Would you
So very
like to
interesting.
talk a little about what is 40 ccb, the
Yeah.
hallmark technique of a breath work?
Okay, okay, wonderful. Like, okay, those who don't know 40 CCB, for CCB is conscious connected breathing. Like, for example, you see this, I breathe in and I just do one CCB, you see this? So I did about three, you see, like I connect my in breath to the out breath to the in breath without any pauses. This is what the CCB is all about. I'm doing 40 of them. That's what the 40 CCB is all about. People who already attended a breathwork session or attended some of our courses, workshops, they are aware of it. That's where this 40 CCB come from. Again, why 40? Because Hanuman Chalisa 40. So the breath and 40 goes together. That's a secret there. Anyway, we will leave it. We will have the discussion of that in
I
some
guess
other
to know
time.
more about 40 ccb, we will
Yeah.
invite you for one of our workshops. which is
Yeah,
happening
yes.
soon in multiple locations. At the end, I will share the details about that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Um,
Like, yeah. So because even this 40 ccb can be taught free of cost. So some of you really interested, you can contact the newcomers I'm talking about. You can let us know. You can put a message, and maybe Pooja or someone, can take collect the list, and then maybe we'll teach you. 40 ccb can be taught. We have been teaching worldwide wherever we go. It's a very powerful technique. So to answer the question, some of you asking how many times I need to do. You can do any number of times. There's no harm in doing more number of times, but minimum I say 3 times you can do. 3 times you can do morning once or evening once, and before going to sleep once. 3 times would be a good idea. 40 ccb. Or another, there is one more effective way you can do this. Do 40 ccb. Let's say if you have a 5 minutes of time, do 40 ccb and take 1 minute break. There only, just sit there and observe all the sensations in your body, and then do one more setup, second setup for 40 ccb, and again 1 minute break, and then you do the third setup 40 ccb, and then 1 minute break, like that. So this we found is very, very effective if you do this. So this we have been propagating and teaching many people around. Even I was in the US a couple of months back, and I taught this to many people, even some of the authors, people into stock market. They found a big change in that actually, like doing this. So 40 ccb, 1 minute break, 40 ccb again 1 minute break, and again 40 ccb 3 times with 1 minute break. It's very powerful. So my answer is 3 times minimum is good enough. More if you want, you can do it. That's fine. Okay.
okay. So there is one more question. Is there
Mm-hmm.
any exception under which a person should not take a breathwork session?
Yeah. The one thing is, if you are under, if you are any surgery, for example, so till you heal completely from the wound, surgery wound, you should not take a breathwork session. So in that way, you need to wait for a couple of months, even 3 months, 4 months, whatever the number of months the doctor told you, you would do that. Number one. And then number two is, let's say, if you had any injury, for example, in the body, like, let's say you went out, you had some injury. Okay, just wait for some time. So don't take, because again, surgery is different from the injury, like some wound and all of that. Okay, so again, that time also, because sometimes the breath work can take you to a deep trance state, and then this pain becomes little intensive at that time. So that way, so avoid taking breathwork session. Other than that, there's no issue. And again, if you are like a monthly cycle, when you're going through the monthly cycle, but 5 days you can avoid taking breathwork session. So again, it's not like Leonard or he never used to bother. If somebody is interested, we'd give a session. But we felt if you have a time, and if you have a luxury of time, if you can avoid at that time, avoid it and take before or after, like that. You can schedule around it. It'd be really good. And then another thing, only one condition you should not do it when you are pregnant. Okay, up to 5th month you can do a breathwork session. After 5th month, you can do only 40 ccd. Till you give a birth to the baby. Except this, I think all of the time you can do. Even if you are, let's say, it's ICU, not a problem. If you have a health issue, not a problem. I given breathwork to people who have, like 100 centigrade plus fever, for example. 100-degree plus, fever. I've given a breathwork to them in the Himalaya, in the Tibet, for example. So it not been an issue. You can do any time, any age is okay. Any time of the day is okay, not a problem. Okay.
Wonderful. We have few more questions. I guess I'll take another 3 or 4 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maria asks, is there any age criteria to practice breathwork?
Practice breathwork or to take breathwork session?
To
Uh,
take breathwork
yeah,
session.
yeah. There's no, like, yeah. So, how early we can give a breathwork session? Like, as soon as the baby is born, for example. There are, like in our family, like I've given in my family, for example. Like if it's a newborn baby, there's a way you have to hold the hands of the baby. Many therapists would know this. Hold the hand of the baby, and you can breathe for the baby actually. Like, that means you can give from the day one or day two itself, because you can cleanse. Earlier you do the breath work for the children, more quickly you cleanse of their, traumas actually, because children normally have some of the trauma, exposed to some of the trauma, like a birth trauma, first 1 year after birth. And then after 1 to 2, 3 years, we have a parental disapproval syndrome, where the child wanted to explore something, wanted to do something, wanted to play with something, you stopped, or you did not spend enough time with the baby, or the mom, being away from the baby for whatever the reason actually, or a baby spending a lot of time with the grandma or a nanny or with somebody, like especially the 1 year old or less than 1 year old baby actually newborn. So in those time, there is one trauma what we call parental disapproval syndrome, which picks up with the baby. So on that one, and then when we send baby to the school, there is something called school trauma. Then there is something called religious trauma, like that it is. So in that way, earlier you do for the children, it's better that you see a wonderful shift in them actually. They become like such a divine, blossomed angel actually, like, with good intuition, with good creativity, good expression. In my opinion, I feel every child on earth should get the advantage of breathwork, like I feel. And that way, earlier the better, there's no doubt, and it would help them.
So, at what age the child can do his or her own breath work? You said for the baby we can hold the hand and
Yeah,
do. At what age can the child do the breath work?
at least 6 year onwards. Yeah, till 6 we can't make them, unless if they follow instructions and all. Even you can try it out at the age of 4 or 5 and all is fine. But 6 onwards would be really a good age actually, like, because now they are almost, they identify themselves, they follow instruction, and they understand the visions and sensations and all of that. So that way it be good. 6 years onwards, so we can give a individual breath work to the kid. But if the kid has got a, let's say, a known issue, like for example, we get a lot of children having, ADHD issue, or we say some other, like learning disability issues and all of that, or ADHD, like you can say bipolar, or something like that, psychological issues. Right? And in those cases, instead of giving, because the child got into this issue because of the birth trauma. In that way, just giving only to the child will not help. The mother needs to take a session. And if the child is less than 12-year-old, mom doing a breath work, children will become better. Many of you, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it's a fact. If mother does a breath work, the baby get healed actually. Most of the issues of the baby get resolved actually. We have many testimonials for this, not one or two, hundreds of them. So it works. But after 12, you doing alone will not help much actually, because now after the age of 12, because the brain development happened, the baby start identifying with his own ego, with his own world outside. So in that way, giving to the child separately would be a better idea. But before 12, just for the fine tuning, increasing the baby's intuition, or energy or creativity, that's fine. But if you have an issue, some psychological issue, then mother doing it with the baby would be a great idea. Or even mother doing alone also would be a good idea.
Okay. Thank you. We'll take two more questions and then we will start to wrap up. There's one question which asks, what's the difference between pranayama techniques and this CCB breathwork?
Very
Is this
important.
CCB an improvised version of pranayama technique? We
Yeah,
get this
wonderful.
question a lot.
Yeah, wonderful. Very good question actually. I think it's Priyatam. What a name. Very nice
Yeah,
name, Priyatam.
Priyata.
Okay, yeah. So you see here, if you heard, many pranayamas don't do this continuous connected breathing actually. Number one, and also another thing is actually pranayama. Like where this word pranayama comes in, like I told you, remember 5 breath forces: pranavayu, you can say udanavayu, apanavayu, like that it is. So most of the pranayamas are designed, where you just strengthen or work with the pranavayu. That's what it is, the pranayama is all about actually. Okay, but here, when you do this continuous connected breath, it's not just pranavayu, there's something more. Okay, number one. And the second thing is, no pranayama, you go with the number. You do this many breath and then you stop, not like that. Unless you do like what we say, kapalbhati, for example. Again, kapalbhati, it's more on breathing out, not on breathing in. But in CCB, we focus more on breathing in. It's exactly opposite of kapalbhati. So in that way, it's not like improvised pranayama or something. It is like a standalone. Like for example, I'll ask a question to you. What do you call a Kriya Yoga? Do you call it an improvised pranayama or standalone technique? If you consider pranayama, like a kriya is an advanced pranayama, or or you can say improvised pranayama, then I can also say 40 ccb comes in the same category. If you call it, no, kriya is very different, it's standalone technique, then 40 ccb, the breathwork are also standalone technique, because they work at a very different realm altogether. So that's what. Okay. But again, I wish you can try this if you're really into pranayama, and if you have been practicing it, you try doing 40 ccb for about a week, you will understand what I'm talking about actually, because there will be a totally a very different set of nadi opening in your body when you do this thing, like kriya, 40 ccb. They are very different than pranayama. Pranayamas are designed for a certain purpose, but this 40 ccb kriya are designed for some other purpose. They are very distinct in their way they work at an energy level in the body. Yeah?
Thank you so much, Mahesha. We have a lot of interesting questions, but I'm really sorry, audience. We won't be able to take that. We have a time commitment to follow, but you can get in touch with us anytime to know more. I will be sharing some details about the upcoming program and also a short testimonial from one of our breath workers and a doctor soon.
And
So,
then, Pooja, there's
yes,
one interesting question by Dr. Beena.
yes,
Can you
yes.
read that? Yeah, okay.
I will read that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for this introduction. Will one pattern of breathing cleanse all five elements, or are there five specific patterns for five different elements? How do you relate breathing with five elements? Some basic info, please. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, good question. Very good question. But you see here, the breathing pattern is same. Breathing pattern is same. You just do the breathing pattern. Like these, what we say, patterns are like a layer by layer. For example, let's say in the breathing, when you do it, if you heard about this, this Taittiriya Upanishad, they talk about Annamaya Kosha. You heard about this Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, like Pancha Koshas. So that's how the correction happens in the breathing. Either you do just air breath work or a water breath work, so they're the same, but more and more you do, like I told you about 10 sessions. First 2-3 sessions you will work with your Annamaya Kosha. Next 2-3, let's say 5-6, like 4-5-6 sessions, you can work on your Manomaya Kosha. Then, you can work with your, Pranamaya Kosha, like that it is. So, so that's how these things works actually, like Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and then if you continue to do more. But sometime here, bringing the elements, for example, let's say somebody, for example, have a lot of disturbed thought, for example, very disturbed mind, or they went through some, what to say, very disturbed experiences. Somebody, the last loved one, or they went through some breakup, their mind is very chaotic right now. They have a lot of hatred or some sadness, for example, some melancholy. Like, there what happened? Normally, we try to give them a breathwork in front of the fire. You know why? Because the fire cleanses the psychic dirt in the system, actually. Like we have a Manomaya Kosha, it's cleansed by the way the water cleanses the physical body, the fire cleanses the prana body, actually. Like you can try it out, like whenever you are very disturbed, your mind is very, very restless, just try sitting with fire, you become calm, like all that dirt, that's like it's just we are carrying the dirt from the people. That's why we are so disturbed, like our aura get little messed up. So when you sit with fire cleanses the aura actually. So that way. So in that way, the therapist would choose like whether to give a fire breath work or a water breath work, and there are, of course, there are many other deeper connection to this. So this is in a nutshell, you can say. So in that way, to answer your question, the breathing pattern is same. Of course, it doesn't change, but doing more number of sessions, the layer by layer, things start cleansing actually. Like it works with Annamaya Kosha, then Pranamaya Kosha, then Manomaya Kosha, like that. It goes on cleansing the person actually. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Now, with your permission, I would like to share some of the upcoming programs. Somebody asked me, is there a program coming up in Chennai? Soon, yes, we are planning programs in Mumbai, Chennai, and various other areas. But right now, we have three programs coming up. Darshan, would you share the three programs, please? So we usually have five elements breathwork Himalayan retreat 2 times a year. One's in Rishikesh and one's in Haida Khan Ashram. This year we are also having one five-element retreat in Sri Lanka. Here we usually work with five elements: air, water, fire, earth, and space. Just now Mahesha explained how each element will cleanse one of the koshas. Every 3 years, we do organize one trip to Kailash Mansarovar. We'll be organizing one soon. And it is an experience. Coming to what is immediately happening and how you can get an full view of what breathwork is. We are having two retreats, one in Kolhapur on 28th and one in Kolhapur on 14th and 15th of September, and one in Bangalore on 28th and 29th of September. Um, and we have another big retreat where we'll be working with all the five elements, is happening in Sri Lanka from 29th November to 8th December. For more details, you can log in into our website, or you can contact Dr. Hemlata or Team Sadgamaya, and you can get all the details that you want. And now I would like to share one small testimonial from Dr. Hemlata. She's a medical doctor. She's been a breath worker for over a decade now. Over to you, Dr. Hemlata.
Hello, good evening, and namaste. Yeah, I am, yes, like she said, I'm Dr. Hemlata. I'm also a retired Army officer after 30 years. So I'm also a Lieutenant Colonel along with that. You can say Lieutenant Colonel Hemlata. So I retired in the year 2000, that's 24 years back. Then I went into so many, it's just a kind of a testimonial as to why I have got into breath work and with it for 10 years. Okay, more than 10 years, like she said. So what happened is I got into a lot of energy systems after I retired. You know, as usual, the Reiki, the pranic, I did a lot of acupressure, took diplomas, did a lot of color healing. I was really into doing the energy work. And I think I hardly did any allopathic work after retirement. So, but the point is, sometime in one's life, one gets into something what you call a crisis. It could be a psychological crisis, emotional crisis, which is what I went through about, say, 2012, detected with cancer breast. So that was a big shakeup for me. And definitely I got operated. All that happened. And I did recover from that. But what I did not recover then is within the year, I lost my husband. And I think that shook me up. That really. Because I said, a doctor and a lieutenant colonel gone down somewhere. My confidence, my everything went in below my ankles also. So I was really, really down that time. And funnily, like similar to Mahesh's this thing, my son's friend told me, Auntie, why don't you do something called breathwork? I told him, no, it's too fresh in my mind, all these things, doing breathwork, no, nothing. So he said, no, we'll do it to the five elements. So that is what attracted me to breathwork. And I attended Mahesh's retreat, 5 days, 6 days retreat in the Pyramid Valley, Bengaluru. So that means five elements. Like he has explained, I did it with every element. But before that, when I came into it, I was so lost. Actually, there was no confidence at all. Imagine driving a car for 40 years and 45 years, and I'm not able to sit in the car, not able to cross the road. I'd hold my friend's hand and go around. I was that bad actually. But when I did these 5 days, it was such a shift in my life, such a shift in my life. It was like this, like this I came. And when I finished those 5 days, I won't say 100% everything came back. No, it takes time. But the shift itself was amazing. It was like a miracle for me. I said, yes, now I can do something. And then I said, okay, if I can benefit like this as a medical doctor, as an allopathic doctor, and getting into energy systems and kind of understanding your breath, understanding the five elements, with that, I started giving sessions to people because we were trained in that this thing to give sessions. So I started giving sessions, and well, I continued giving sessions, and then I'm a trustee with Sadgamya Foundation. I'm a trainer and I'm a therapist. So, but I got into it when I was, say, 66. Okay, imagine breathwork coming into my life at 66. So obviously, you add the 10 years, and I'm 76 now, completed. So that's me. Thank you. Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hames. And thank you so much, each one of you. Thank you, Mahesha, for explaining everyone what breathwork is. Thank you, each one of you, for joining. Wednesday evenings are not an easy time to spare an hour, and more, we are above an hour. Thank you very much. In case you need any more detail, please reach out to us on the given numbers on our website. Thank you. Namaste.